Warning: Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
What it do, family and friends? Welcome back to the Church of Black Power. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear, and if you have not done so yet, click that link in the description, go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations. And with that being said, family, now, first and foremost, I'd like to apologize because I was moving so fast in uploading my last 3 videos. They were all pre-records. Most of them are. However, usually when I do a pre-record and I don't use it for, well, usually they're either in the members only or things like that. When I don't put them out that same week or whatever, I usually put a date on them, and moving too quickly, I didn't do that. But I'll be a lot more careful next time, family, because I had some people that was kind of confused because one of the videos with Trump, I said he had met with Biden on that day or whatnot, and it wasn't the day that I actually recorded it, that I released it to you guys. So I want to apologize for any confusion on that. Now, let's get into the topic of today. And today, family, November 25th, I want to have a discussion with you guys because I had a discussion with someone else, and one of the things about the political system and history as a whole is they play with your mind, they play with your memory, they play with history overall when it comes to both parties, okay? I say this because I was having a discussion with a friend, and she was kind of upset about, the election results because she's a Democrat. And she says now we're going to see racism like we've never seen. The Democrats have always had our backs, this, that, and the third. And I told her that was not a true statement. And so she was like, well, they've had our backs since they turned away from their racist ways. And I asked her a question that I'm going to pose to you all today. When did the racist, known as the Democrats, turn from their racist ways? I asked her that question, and she tried to give me a bunch of nonsensical bull stuff. So I had a conversation with her, and I'm going to have that same conversation with you all here today. Because I'm going to show that the racist known as the Democratic Party has never changed their ways. They have never turned their back on their racist ways or their racist policies. They may have implemented a few policies, but they also implemented other policies to counteract our policy, like the Civil Rights Bill of 1964. Whether we knew it or not, they always knew it. However, I want to pose that question to everyone here. When did the Democratic Party stop being racist? When did they turn their backs on their racist Southern root ways? So let's get into the topic of today. Now, I want to start here. We're going to go, and this is going to be just a list of presidents who were Democratic presidents after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. So we're going to start first with Andrew Johnson. And Andrew Johnson, who was sworn in after Lincoln was assassinated, he's actually on a list that the Huffington Post put together entitled The 11 most racist U.S. presidents. And I want to scroll on down just so you can see what number he sits on this. He is the number one most racist president that the United States have had. The number one, apparently, as listed by the Huffington Post. And let's see why. This Democrat from Tennessee was sworn into presidency after John Wilkes Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln days after the Civil War ended. When President Johnson issued his Reconstruction proclamations about a month later, on May 29, 1865, he deflated the high hopes of civil rights activists. President Johnson offered amnesty, property rights, and voting rights to all but the highest Confederate officers, most of whom he pardoned a year later. He later ordered the return of the land to pardoned Confederates, null and voided those wartime orders that granted black people 40 acres and a mule, and removed many of the black troops from the South. So this was Johnson. Now, if you would like to, you can go ahead and read the rest of this yourself, but I'm pressed for time, so we're going to kind of move on. But I also want you to know that it was also Johnson who made sure that the Southern Democrats at the time was so emboldened and so empowered that they implemented the black codes right after. Here's something from Ballotpedia, right? Under President Andrew Johnson, a Democrat, Reconstruction policy, the former Confederate states were required to maintain abolition, swore loyalty to the United States of America, and pay their war debts in order to rejoin the Union. Under Johnson's reconciliation policy, Southern states adopted and enacted a series of laws designed to restrict freed blacks' activity and ensure their availability as a labor force. That was under Andrew Johnson family. So, Andrew Johnson was a racist, and his policies were racist, which means the party was racist. Period, point in black. Now, let's move on, shall we? Let me move this over here. All right. Now, let's get back here. Okay. Now, that was Johnson. Let's move on to Grover. Well, Grover family, he was known for a lot of his racist policies as well. It was actually Cleveland, excuse me. I don't know why I said Cleaver, but it was actually Grover Cleveland who implemented or resegregated the federal bureaucracy and the Navy. He's known for this, ladies and gentlemen. Woodrow Wilson. Well, Woodrow Wilson was so damn racist, history had to write an article on that too. on how he tried to reverse black progress. And when, him reversing black progress was things such as, promoting the Ku Klux Klan. When he used to actually teach at what university was that? Princeton. When he used to teach at Princeton, he had racist ideologies then. And that's on documented record. As a matter of fact, the article from the Huffington Post, he is on this list as well. And he is number 7, Thomas Woodrow Wilson. So you guys can go and read that as well. But the reason why I'm bringing him up as well is because he was a Democratic president, and he was also responsible for implementing Jim Crow laws. Yes. So Woodrow Wilson, stone cold racist, which means that the party was racist at the time when he was running, because he wouldn't have been able to implement the Jim Crow laws if Congress didn't implement those Jim Crow laws. Let's be very clear. Very clear. Now, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Franklin D. Roosevelt was a racist as well. People try to tell you he wasn't, but the truth is he was. Because he packed the court, and he made sure to pack the court. And then in 1937, I think it was Robert Wagner. He was a senator from New York. And Frederick Van Nuys. They both were senators. When they came to him and proposed a federal bill that would hold law enforcement officers responsible for their negligence and contributions to lynching black people. No. FDR would not support the bill. He shut the bill down. He shut the bill down. And you can go and look that up. FDR. Anti-lynching, 1937. Robert Wagner and Frederick Van Nuys. Look that up, family. He came out and said it right off the bat. Kill the bill. He was more worried. He was more worried about other things. Let's move on. So next, we have Harry Truman. Now, Truman, you probably can make the best argument for, because Harry Truman, his bills, I guess you could say, were responsible in his executive orders. I think it was 9980 and 9981, which were basically like the predecessors of the Civil Rights Bill. So the best argument that you can probably make would probably be Harry Truman. He also did the Truman Report, where he made sure to explain how Black Americans differ from Latinos and how illegal immigration hurts Black Americans the most. So you can actually make a great argument for Harry Truman. And you also can make a good argument for John F. Kennedy. However, he was assassinated by his party. And allegedly. He was assassinated, in my opinion, I assume, by his party. And the next person to come in was Lyndon B. Johnson, who was a stone cold racist. And people love to say, well, he passed the Civil Rights Act. He also stated, if I pass this, then we're going to have the Negro voting for us for the next 40 years. So that was a part of his plan. And it worked. It worked. He had Negroes voting loyally. The majority of the population who voted was voting for Democrats. Before then, they were voting Republican. However, right after he passed the Civil Rights Bill, right, he passes the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. And I think that, and this is just my opinion, you can take it or leave it, but I do believe that was a part of the plan, because we were stopping for all these different people to be able to come over as immigrants. We were the ones who saying you can't just let just majority Europeans in. No. We're going to remove the racial statute on the immigration policies as well. That was a part of civil rights. However, I believe he waited until 1965 and didn't pass it in 1964 when he passed the Civil Rights Bill, because he wanted to figure out how to maneuver and make this policy work for him and the Democrats. And so, I assume, in the words of TD Media, once he figured that out and say, you know what we're going to end up doing, we're going to start vetting people that comes over. See, before then, they wasn't vetting anybody. You know what the Statue of Liberty says? It says, give us your poor. Give us your huddled masses yearning to be free. I know that wasn't the whole quote, but you get where I'm going with this. Before then, they didn't have a cap, or they didn't have any way to vet these people, because they were only letting in majority Europeans and people who would be looked at as quote unquote white. That's what happened. But when we stopped for equal rights across the board, now they had to come up with something. They had to come up with something that would make that work in their benefit. So they say, you know what? We're going to start vetting people. But we're not going to vet the whites. We're going to vet everyone else. We're going to vet the Asians. We're going to vet the Latinos. We're going to vet the Africans. We're going to vet the Caribbeans, and we're going to let them know that you shouldn't come in here feeling like you have any type of camaraderie with the Black Americans. Matter of fact, you should stay away from those people, because they're the worst of all people across the globe. And if you think that hasn't been going on, you can see why we've been delineating, and you can see that it has. And these are the reasons why I believe that the Democratic Party did it. In order to bring in a class of people who would vote for them, and they wouldn't have to worry about black voters ever again. Don't that sound like somebody who just recently tried the same thing, family? So, now that we've gotten through Lyndon B, good old LBJ, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, I don't want to say that he was a racist, but excuse me, family. 1 second. My dang allergy, excuse me. Yeah, I don't want to say Jimmy Carter was a racist, but I believe the party definitely made him more racist over time. And that's my opinion on Jimmy. Now, Bill Clinton, and I know this is going to sting a lot of the old niggas crawls, because a lot of the old niggas love them some Bill Clinton. Well, not only did Hillary Clinton go into Congress calling black people super predators, but it was also Bill Clinton and Larry Summers that demolished the Glass-Steagall Act. And if you don't know what the Glass-Steagall Act is, please go and look it up. But in basic terms, it was basically a law that said that banks could not sell their assets. Banks could only hold their assets and things like that. After they demolished the Glass-Steagall Act, the banks was able to sell those assets overseas and things like that. And that's what caused the collapse, the housing crisis, in the 2000s. And that was a situation that affected who the most? Black Americans. Because then, at the time that the crash happened, Bush was in office. After he got out of office, your boy Obama came into office. And under Obama, we had the highest rates of hate crimes against black Americans, and this man did nothing. This man did nothing to combat that. Flint, Michigan happened. And he went down there and pretended to drink that damn water, while children was getting sick and was being put in a hospital. He went down there and did a stunt. He passed over 20 laws by executive order for the LGBTQ. He passed further protections for the police in America. When we pressed him about reparations, he said, no, that's not how America works. America works when we're putting, money behind everybody else. And saying, screw black Americans, foundational black Americans, the freedmen. And after Obama, we just got 4 years of Joe Biden. And I ain't even got to go into all the things that he did to show how racist the Democratic Party is. And a lot of people love to say, you know, the South and the North kind of switch places politically, not from what I just went through. Family, tell me, am I lying? Where's the lie? When did the Democratic Party stop being so racist? Because even the people that you can make a case for, like Harry Truman, like JFK, maybe Jimmy Carter, you can make that same case for the Republican Party. And we know they're racist. But it was the Republican Party that put through the Civil Rights Act of, let me see here. I thought I had it up here. Yeah, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. That was the Republican Party. So the same argument can be made. It doesn't mean that they switched places. No, they both remain racist. And they both are trying to hold on to that system of white supremacy. They're just doing it in different ways. Now, tell me when I'm telling lies. We done went through every president since, well, every Democratic president since the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And if the history shows that all of these folks, for the most part, were racist and implemented racist policies that directly targeted Black Americans, you can't tell me that the Democratic Party isn't racist, and you can't tell me that the Democratic Party has always had our backs since we got out of slavery. That makes no sense. I wanted to have this conversation today because it's very important for us as a people to understand we have no friends in this political realm. We have absolutely no friends. And we have absolutely no family when it comes to politics, because everybody else vote their pockets. Everybody else vote their agenda. Everybody else has something in mind when it comes to their reason for voting, and it's not to have a camaraderie. I don't know why the hell I just had that little stumble, but anyway, it's not to have camaraderie. God dang it. You know what I mean. It's not to have camaraderie. God dang it. I'm going to leave all this in. No outtakes. It's not to be cool with us. Camaraderie. Excuse me. It's been a long week, family. But still, my point is clear. We need to make sure that the new generation, the next generation, understands this as well. You might want to be friends with everybody. That's cool. I don't have a problem with you being friends. But when it comes to your politics and when it comes to your agenda and your interest, you're going to have to stand 10 toes down. And you got to understand that we don't have any friends when it comes to politics. And we don't have any family when it comes to politics. Our interest is our interest alone. And if we don't fight for it, I guarantee you, the next generation won't have anything to worry about because they'll have nothing. And they'll have everything to worry about. We've read the article that stated that by 2050, Black Americans' median income will be at a zero. And if we don't hammer this message in to the next generation's skull, that's going to be a problem that they blame us for. Rightfully so as well. But with that being said, family, I'm going to ask this one more time. And if you have an answer, please, by all means, put it in the comment. Put it in the chat. I would love to hear. When did the Democratic Party turn their backs on their racist ideologies and policies? And with that being said, family, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell so you can be notified whenever videos like this drop. Please make sure you're hitting that like and share button so we can beat up the algorithm. Make sure we get this message out to the ears that need to hear. And if you have not done so yet, please click that link in the description. Go to change.org and put your signature on the petition for reparations, family. I'm going to say this in the way I should probably do it this way. Let's do it this way. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. We got to make sure our children is ready and prepared to fight white supremacy and not get fooled by it. Neely Fuller said it, and they said it the best. If you don't know what white supremacy is, how it works, and how it operates, everything that you think you know will only confuse you, including friendship. And with that being said, family and friends, the doors of the church are now closed. Peace, family.